All right, everybody, buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into a story that's got more holes in it than Swiss cheese.
And we're gonna need a whole lot of mustard and ketchup to swallow this one, am I right?
You got that right. We're talking about Kamala Harris, her claims about working at McDonald's, and all the, shall we say, skepticism surrounding it.
And boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to unpack. You guys sent us a mountain of articles on this, so let's get this show on the road.
So, for anyone who's been living under a rock, what exactly is this whole McDonald's thing about?
Well, it all started with Kamala, back when she was trying to win over the hearts and minds of the American people.
You mean on the campaign trail?
That's the one. So she starts spinning this yarn about how she used to work at McDonald's while she was studying law at UC Berkeley.
Trying to show us she's a regular, hardworking American, just like the rest of us, right? Flipping burgers, dealing with the public.
Precisely. The whole 9 yards. You know, trying to make it seem like she understands the struggles of the working class. Problem is, the details are about as flimsy as a napkin.
Okay, so what you're saying is that her story is about as believable as a unicorn riding a roller coaster.
Pretty much.
So what's the deal with McDonald's? Do they just say, nope, not talking about it?
Well, not in those exact words, but their official statement is that their records just don't go back far enough to confirm or deny her claims.
Come on, seriously, they're basically pleading the fifth.
What a load of...
Convenient, isn't it?
It's almost comical how fake the whole thing feels, you know?
Right, like they just happened to lose the one piece of information that could either prove or disprove her story. Talk about suspicious.
Speaking of suspicious, the Wall Street Journal, they dug up some interesting dirt, didn't they?
Oh, they sure did. They got a hold of an internal memo from McDonald's, and guess what? It basically confirms that they have no records from way back then. But get this, they offered Harris a visit to one of their franchises.
Oh my God, are you serious? They actually did that.
Yeah, can you believe the nerve? Like, they're trying to sweep the whole thing under the rug with a photo op. Talk about a tone-deaf PR move. It just screams, we're trying to distract you. It reminds me of when Trump visited that McDonald's.
Oh, you mean when he was serving up those fries to his supporters? Yeah, that was something else.
Total publicity stunt. But you gotta hand it to him. The man knows how to work a crowd. But anyway, back to Kamala. So, no records from McDonald's, but what about Kamala herself? Has she offered up any proof to back up her claims?
You mean like any details about the location, maybe names of coworkers who could vouch for her?
Yeah, anything at all. You think if this was such a defining part of her "I'm one of you" spiel, she would have mentioned it somewhere?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But nope, it's not on her law clerk application from '87, not in her memoirs, nothing.
It's almost like she's deliberately keeping things vague. And speaking of vague, what about that Telegraph investigation? What did they find when they visited those McDonald's in Alameda, California, where she supposedly worked?
Now this is where things get juicy. Well, let me tell you, this is where it gets really interesting. So, the Telegraph, they go to these McDonald's locations in Alameda, right?
Yeah, where Harris was supposedly slinging burgers back in the day.
Exactly. And get this, the employees at one of the locations, they were told by their managers to keep their mouths shut.
Whoa, hold on a second. Seriously, they were told not to talk about it.
Straight up, like, don't even think about breathing a word of this to anyone kind of thing.
That's shady as hell. It just screams cover-up, doesn't it?
You got it. If there's nothing to hide, then why all the secrecy? It's like they're practically begging people to think there's a conspiracy afoot. I mean, come on.
Right, so we've got Kamala's story, which is about as clear as mud.
And about as believable as a dog playing poker, let's be real.
Right, then we've got McDonald's playing coy, acting like they don't know a thing.
Pleading ignorance, the oldest trick in the book.
And to top it all off, we've got this whole employees told to zip it situation.
Yeah.
It's like something out of House of Cards.
The plot thickens, right?
It sure does. But before we go full conspiracy theory on this thing, what's your expert take on all of this? I mean, this whole McDonald's saga just feels like classic political maneuvering to me.
You hit the nail on the head. This I'm just a regular person, just like you, act. It's straight out of Politician 101. They try to sell this image of being relatable, you know, just another working stiff.
All to try and make us forget they're usually anything but.
Exactly. It's all a big old dog and pony show to distract from their, shall we say, privileged lifestyles.
So you're saying this whole McDonald's thing, true or not, is just Kamala trying to score some brownie points with voters?
Bingo. It's about crafting an image, an identity that resonates with the average Joe on the street.
Because nobody wants to think that the people running the country are totally out of touch with the struggles they face every day.
Right. Politicians live and breathe for these kinds of narratives. And let's be honest, nobody wants a leader who wouldn't know a hard day's work if it hit him in the face.
Okay, I get the strategy, but it's still pretty slimy if you ask me. I mean, if you have to make up stories about working at McDonald's to prove you understand working people,
Yeah.
doesn't that kind of prove you don't?
100%. It's completely disingenuous. And honestly, it's a little insulting to voters, don't you think? It's like they think we're stupid enough to fall for anything.
Yeah, like we're supposed to forget that Kamala comes from a pretty privileged background herself. Elite schools, comfortable lifestyle, the whole shebang.
It's all smoke and mirrors, my friend. Smoke and mirrors.
It's like they think we're just a bunch of clowns ready to swallow any story they dish out.
And sadly, a lot of times it works. People eat it up. But it's on us to call BS when we see it.
Okay, so say I'm listening to this right now and I'm thinking, man, this whole system feels rigged. What's the way forward? What can we do?
Well, for starters, we gotta stop taking these politicians at their word.
You mean don't believe everything you hear?
Exactly. Don't just buy into the carefully crafted image they're trying to sell. Dig a little deeper, you know? Look at their records, their histories, see if their actions actually match their words.
Easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
Who has the time to research every little thing these politicians say?
And that's exactly what they're counting on. They know we're all busy, overwhelmed, but we can't let them get away with it. We have to hold their feet to the fire.
So we got to be more skeptical, do our own digging.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to call out BS when you see it. Whether it's Kamala Harris flipping burgers or some other politician spinning yarns, we gotta hold them accountable.
It's time we stop letting them play us for fools, right?
You got that right.
Well, folks, there you have it. Another deep dive into the wacky world of politics.
It's enough to make you lose your appetite for fries, am I right?
You got that right.
But hey, it just goes to show that sometimes the juiciest stories are the ones politicians don't want you to know. Until next time, stay skeptical, my friends, and remember, don't believe everything you hear.
Hit that